immense pleasure to welcome you all to the inaugural session of the Transparent Warfare, Equipping and Training to Win. This event, organized by the Society of Aerospace, Maritime and Defense Studies, SAMDeS, is a testament to our nation's commitment to technological advancement and military preparedness. This event, organized, we are honored to have with us today a distinguished panel of experts who will share their insights on critical issues of transparency, innovation, training in the modern battlefield. I would also like to take this opportunity to express a sincere gratitude to the Defense Research and Development Organization, the Department of Defense Production, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, Lockheed Martin, Bharat Electronics Limited, Garden Reach Shipbuilders and Engineers Limited, Cochin Shipyard Limited, Newspace Research and Technologies Limited, IdeaForge, and Zen Technologies Limited for their invaluable support. Their generous contributions were instrumental in the success of this conference. We eagerly anticipate their continued collaboration in our future endeavors. Ladies and gentlemen, we now formally begin the inaugural session. May I take this opportunity to welcome the guest dignitaries on the dais with a huge round of applause. Welcoming on stage our esteemed dignitaries, Lieutenant General A.S. Lamba, PVSM, AVSM, PhD retired, former VCOAS, and the founder, member, Governing Council, SAMDeS. Shri Joshi, CEO and Director, Newspace Research and Technologies. Air Vice Marshal Michael Fernandez, VM, VSM, retired, Country Head of Lockheed Martin. Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Vaduria, PVSM, AVSM, VM, retired, former Chief of Air Staff, Indian Air Force. Admiral Karambir Singh, PVSM, AVSM, retired, former Chief of Naval Staff and Chairman, National Maritime Foundation. May I request a huge round of applause for the guest dignitaries on the dais, please? Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll now begin the program with a warm welcome address by Lieutenant General A.S. Lamba, PVSM, AVSM, PhD retired, former VCOAS, and the founder, member, Governing Council, SAMDeS. May I request General Lamba to kindly address the gathering.
Admiral Karambir Singh, Air Chief Marshal Vaduria, panelists on the dais, panelists, senior officers and representatives from the services, from the industry, DRDO, representatives from the services who've joined us today to go through this wonderful event that SAMDeS has put together. It's on behalf of our chairman, Admiral Dhowan, that we, the Governing Council of SAMDeS, are absolutely delighted to welcome you all. Nobody needs an introduction. The stellar panel right on the dais itself is a reflection of what SAMDeS aimed to actually achieve. The views from the experienced, our senior leaders, strategic level leaders in the services, and the environment today. Because we do feel it's an all-of-nation approach, and there can be no distinction in putting together any ideation or concepts into execution without an approach altogether. We've chosen this subject as transparent warfare, which is indeed not new. It was always there. The levels of intervention capability, whether it was the surveillance, picking up simple information, put it together, synthesizing, and moving upward to evolve battle procedures, tactical level actions, operational art actions, and finally at the strategic level. The movement was generally down to top. So information has become the new dynamic, the composites of which are known to everyone here. It's reversed, and the kind of technology that's been put together will lead is already leading to new doctrines, new concepts, and new battle procedures. The degree of transparency that we've seen recently in both the wars live is the Ukraine-Russia war and the war in the Middle East, which have shown how strategic value emanates from information, and information including real-time imaging that puts together decision-making, action, and planning. Technologies like the drones, precision-guided munitions, and the UAS systems have demonstrated their ability to offset numerical and conventional disadvantages and what we term in our times as combat ratios vis-a-vis adversaries. It's a universal acknowledgement today that amongst the most significant shifts in battlefield transparency is the proliferation and primacy of drones and other technologies that's giving a planner or an army decision makers from the strategic to the tactical levels, a holistic, comprehensive, transparent view of the entire battlefield in real time with less than a meter accuracy, built up with AI-based integrated programs which have enhanced lethality and accuracy. I think this put together all elements of what we will discuss today. According to Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister recently, he said, the equation of Ukraine's victory is clear. It's the courage of the Ukrainians and technology. And he's chosen these two as the fundamental pillars of their success. In 2023, when the war started, it was felt that the Russians had built up on the borders, and it seemed as if nobody really cared, but it was all transparent. And they said, extrapolating backward, it was not possible to sneak up on someone else's country with an army, navy, or air force, or to conceal the conflict destruction that they inflict. Armed forces around the world will try to counter this by assembling, moving from home bases and maneuvering on the front lines in most dispersed ways, hiding as much as possible in plain sight. We have seen an integration, an incredible integration of transparent equipment that gives us transparency, integrating information from satellites, commercial low Earth orbit CubeSats, and high-end geostationary military satellites and aircraft. All the digital traces have left, even on areas where the people have occupied once and moved on, through a highly connected world will give the information that one seeks. The challenges are twofold, both for those on the offensive and those on the defensive. For the offensive, it's important because you need to know the ability to maneuver must be actually based on the real-time information of deployments of this. And I can relate some of my experiences in 21 Corps. It's a very large formation. How we started from our own times with surveillance, coordination of surveillance elements in the entire Corps, coordination of communication elements. And these were two major exercises we actually held to see fighting, maneuver, capability, and armor may be predominant in a future battlefield, but without being able to communicate or without being able to keep a track of the enemy's movements, nothing would really succeed. And we've seen the evolution from trench warfare to mechanized warfare to maneuver warfare, and then we transited into information warfare. And today, we are in an extremely advanced stage of information warfare where all of this has transformed into making every battlefield of the aggressor and the defender completely transparent. So what it also means that the digital technologies have transformed confrontation and conflict. Transparency and precision have merged with advances in robotics, autonomy, connectivity, and data on a secure cloud and AI. more of this when we have a stellar panel here. We have a stellar panel in the inaugural session itself who will give us their perspectives. And finally, what makes this so important? The last point will be training and equipping. The purpose of the seminar is, if this be the concept, how are we going to equip ourselves and how are we going to train ourselves will come after here the perspectives from everything, from every speaker, every panelist, and of course the inaugural session to get a macro view to go through this session. Thank you very much. I hand over back to Aarti to take it forward.
Thank you, sir. We are honored to have Admiral R.K. Dhowan, PVSM, AVSM, YSM retired, former CNS and Chairperson SAMDeS, join us virtually to deliver the thematic address to the August gathering present here.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a distinct honor for me to accord a very warm welcome to Admiral Karambir Singh, the former Chief of the Naval Staff, Air Chief Marshal Bhaduria, the former Chief of the Air Staff, Lieutenant General Lamba, the former Vice Chief of Army Staff, and the founder member of the Governing Council of SAMDeS, Mr. Sanjeev Kumar, the Secretary Department of Defense Production, Dr. Kamath, the Secretary Department of Defense R&D and Chairman DRDO. We would also like to extend a very warm welcome to all members and founder members and distinguished members of SAMDeS, all our distinguished guests and eminent participants to this conference on transparent warfare, training and equipping to win, which has been organized by the Society for Aerospace, Maritime and Defense Studies, SAMDeS, in coordination with the Indian Defense Industries, IDI. As you're all aware, SAMDeS as a key think tank has the charter to assist in further development of the national military, aerospace, maritime and defense ecosystem in a holistic, integrated and coordinated manner. Towards achieving the same, SAMDeS has conducted various conferences and webinars in the past on subjects including negotiating defense contracts, leveraging leasing for the armed forces, catalyzing defense exports, artificial intelligence for air warriors, maritime security to harness the blue economy, space technologies for national security and defense, participation of private sector in defense production, and cyber warfare concepts and contours. In addition, SAMDeS has also conducted 5 international webinars on the Global Maritime Accord to draw up a comprehensive action plan to counter the detrimental impacts of global warming and climate change by leveraging the oceans. Today's conference is an effort to accomplish yet another objective of SAMDeS, which is to assist in innovation of emerging advanced technologies and concepts such as transparent warfare to further strengthen our armed forces. Wars of the future will not be just multidimensional and multi-domain, but be fought in a transparent battlefield with very little fog of war. The ongoing conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza have demonstrated the very nature of transparent warfare. Advanced technologies, weapon systems, which have been leveraged by space imagery as well as by drones, have acquired targets and carried out precision attacks on the adversary. Simultaneously, the cutting-edge technology ISR systems have provided geotagged imagery in real time of the transparent battlefield. Fighting in a transparent battlefield would therefore require a paradigm shift in the nature of weapon systems, sensors, and the training pattern. As far as the sensors of the future are concerned, they will witness a dominance of ISR and will require improvements in latency latency, sensitivity, discrimination, and accuracy to provide a transparent battlefield. Proliferation of drones and satellite imagery, coupled with advanced weapon systems and sensors, are providing the armed forces with a real-time view of the transparent battlefield. This means that one shot, one kill is now possible with precision-guided munitions with greater lethality and accuracy. One precision-guided hypersonic missile costing hundreds of thousands of dollars can destroy a platform costing many millions of dollars and put the crew of that platform in jeopardy. Transparent warfare will therefore transform the way in which armies, navies, and air forces organize, equip, as well as operate. The transparency and precision will actually merge with the advancements in robotics, artificial intelligence, and ISR, and transform the environment in the armed forces where soldiers, sailors, and airmen will not be just mere operators behind a machine, but they will comprise comprehensive teams which are constantly evolving with great efficiency. The winners will be those who boldly transform to the revolution in transparent warfare, and the losers will be those who succumb to slow adaptation of these changes. Today's conference brings together the best brains and professionals from the armed forces, members of the military, aerospace, maritime, and defense industry, the DRDO, academia, as well as think tanks, to ideate and discuss new developments in the field of weapons, sensors, platforms, as well as the training systems. I'm sure that with the enriching presentations and vibrant deliberations during the conference, we will have some path-breaking recommendations on training and equipping our armed forces to fight and win future wars in a transparent battlefield. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
I sincerely extend our sincere thanks for this enigmatic address. Next up, we have Shri Sameer Joshi, CEO and Director, Newspace Research and Technologies, who will discuss the role of UAVs in ISR-2 operations, requesting Mr. Joshi to kindly deliver the address.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Please pardon my over-dramatic appearance. I'm a little under the weather. And it's a real pleasure to be here, and especially with the chair and all these distinguished guests sitting on the panel. They have been role models for us and are the best team here to tell you more about transparent warfare. So when I stand today as the CEO of one of India's leading autonomous systems company, which is staring at a very bleak predicament on the future of unmanned aviation, unmanned systems. In the age of almighty NVIDIA edge computing and savvy AI algorithms, drones have become the perfect warriors. They come in all shapes and sizes. They will find you most of the time at the forward edge of the battle or deep in the rear where you feel very safe. They will guide huge volumes of fire or themselves kill you without remorse, will obey without kidding around ethics and trust issues, and they will never reveal the names of their masters. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, drones have already killed the first human in an autonomous engagement a good about 5 to 6 years back. And what we are witnessing in the vast engagement zones in Ukraine is mass elimination of helpless combatants who never realize how a sustained volume of precision fire hit them so far back in the rear, and how a pipsqueak of a $1,000 drone brought down a 45-ton exquisite main battle tank in a very violent manner. Technological advances and commoditization of unmanned systems the unmanned system stack here ensures that the eye in the sky is more persistent, more dominant, more adept in closing the sensor to the shooter loop, and very importantly, is making the relevance of conventional and legacy military platforms largely, less relevant and more questionable. Yes, we stare at the realm of transparent warfare where nothing is hidden for its worth across the vast landscapes, across multiple domains. And a prominent play here is development and deployment of unmanned systems in the intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, electronic warfare, and targeting roles. These not only augment the traditional C4 I-STAR platforms, spaceborne assets, and human intelligence modules, but in some very critical areas and periods outperform all the other methods with a demonstrated ability to affect and redirect the center of gravity. Nagorno-Karabakh, Libya, and Russo-Ukraine war has propelled the unmanned systems in the top-tier must-haves. And most recently, the Syrian rebels, they deployed the Ukrainian playbook of ISR and FPV drones to take on the major city of Aleppo, beyond which the domino effect toppled the Assad regime. Using advances in sense and perception tiered with edge computing, low latency software-centric battlefield management systems, networks, and ability to operate in contested space, unmanned systems, be it airborne, terrestrials, and over water, are punching far, far beyond their weight. UAVs officially have destroyed more main battle tanks in combat than any other anti-tank mean, combined together beyond the World War II. Similarly, unmanned kamikaze boats have sunk more ships in tonnage than any other medium since World War II. The Russian Black Sea fleet was made totally ineffective by the Ukrainian unmanned elements, which are airborne and seaborne. And how do we digest the ragtag Houthi airborne strikes against shipping in Red Sea and Arabian Sea zones? These are clear indicators of how the battle, and to a great extent, economics, is being shaped by unmanned systems. Robotic ISR is helping close the OODA loop at a very, very phenomenal rate, with fire vectors like tubed and rocket artillery, cruise and ballistic missiles, kamikaze drones, and well-planned combined arms assaults. Large-scale employment of low-cost drones as a mass on the front line, and deep strike one-way drones being employed by the Russians and the Ukrainians to burden the A2AD layers and cause havoc in depth are cementing a transformation of the drone warfare from human in the loop to human on the loop to finally to an evolution where the drones are going to be fully autonomous in nature. While it is noteworthy that unmanned systems have left their mark across various global conflicts and hotspots, transparent warfare has also crossed the bounds of ethical use of drones and autonomy being violated on many instances without remorse. This will rapidly push greater reliance on autonomy, especially automatic target recognition and engagement algorithms, and very, very closed loop robotic large-scale employment and engagement. Battle swarms and collaborative autonomy is being developed across the world by powers that be. Swarming gets the principle of mass back on the battlefield with a large number of ISR assets fusing their combined intelligent picture to take decisions on the edge and deploying air-launched kinetic and non-kinetic effects. These will dominate the expensive, very exquisite, and not very affordable platforms like MBTs, main battle tanks, like capital ships, like multi-role combat aircraft, and impose the financial cost to take down large platforms. Some creative use of drone-based mass to saturate these kind of platforms in use or conventional legacy platforms will also help close the loop faster and have better mission effectiveness. These unmanned assets will team up with human elements using human-machine teaming protocols, which again is a next doctrinal shift where a large number of legacy platforms will be bolstered by unmanned platforms of varied natures and a close synergy with close contact software, network, and multi-domain employment capability being built through man-on-man teaming capability as the next evolution. What is important to understand that the shift from the human on the loop to in the loop in the loop to on the loop to the autonomous nature is happening as we speak. The year 2025, and if this conflict in Ukraine goes to 2025 and lasts long in 2025, we'll see a large-scale employment of UAVs, UGVs, and USVs with total autonomous engagement capabilities. The year 2025 will also be defined where large organizations in the US, especially like the US DoD, engaging in programs like the Replicator, which are very centric for robotic platforms which focus to work along with manned elements. So this Replicator is a program where a large number of UAVs will be bunched together to create what we term as the combat mass, and they will be able and have the ability to fight along with manned elements. One of the most salient points observed from across the globe is the advent of UAVs for reconnaissance and targeting. Observing that as the systems proliferate, they will lower the entry fee into combined arms operation, granting even non-state actors a localized air force and creating a general environment of fear. If you are sensed, and this is something very important to note, if you are sensed, you will be targeted. And if you are targeted, you are destroyed or rendered inoperative with the vast array of munitions and intelligent munitions as we speak being proliferated. Sensors are more important than shooters, enabling shooters now to engage with greater precision than ever before. It is expected that by 2030, at least 15% of all assets in bona fide military organizations will be robotic in nature. The US has openly declared that 30% of their force will comprise of robots by 2030. Their mission will be led by ISR scouts, and the first contact with any manned element will be robotic in nature, which will further impose cost in terms of human life, infrastructure loss, and eventually overwhelming of the manned outfit. And this is the huge point we all need to ponder as we enter the era of transparency in warfare. We enter an era where the command of skies will be handed over to a large component of robotic platforms teaming up with manned elements. And what is very, very clear, bases the various technological shifts and impacts, and which is more clear with the fact that the US is looking towards Ukraine to bolster its own unmanned elements, the unmanned fleet, learning from these lessons of war. What it says that it is not the one who develops the best technology or the one who has the best technology, but the one who can employ the technology in the best concept of employment. And that is the nature of warfare, where the transparent warfare is heading towards, and the role of UAVs is becoming more and more prominent as we are speaking. And it is very critical that everybody present in this room take it back that our forces, and which is already happening to a great extent, need to now also shape up and get and start engaging with the next employment level, which is more of a human-machine teaming variant with large number of proliferation of unmanned platforms. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joshi, for that very important address. We are honored to have a special address from Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhaduria. Air Chief Marshal Bhaduria will share his insights on air power applications in the transparent battlefield. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, and good morning, everybody. I must thank Admiral Dhowan for inviting me here, and from SAMDeS, all his colleagues here for this seminar on transparent warfare. All the dignitaries on the dais, dignitaries in front, all the serving people from the industry, all the people. Very good morning again. A lot has been covered, I think, on transparent warfare. The template has been set very clearly by what General Lamba said and from Admiral Dhowan. And on the ISR side, on the UAVs and how UAV is the future and there nothing else matters by Samir Joshi. A lot of tech issues from Fernandez. I think firstly, to discuss this matter in this manner, to give it a little higher importance, this issue of transparency and transparent battlefield, to put it as the main elements of the future war, the transparent warfare itself. It's good to bring a lot of focus to it. I think attention is required. The crux element in this is how do we build this kind of capability fast and this kind of technology. I was happy to see how this entire seminar is structured. But frankly, I was really hoping for much more attention and presence from the industry. And for us, all of us in the uniform here or who were earlier in the uniform, it is just a sign of fatigue that the industry is facing. Because we talk so much and we discuss so much, there's nothing really left to, in theory, to understand how the future is moving, how the warfare is moving, what is the importance of ISR, what systems are doing. But to convert this into real movement on ground, to convert it into Indian industry coming it in a big way, is the crux issue to my mind. And that is where the challenge really lies. So for all of us, it is no rocket science for us to see how things are moving, what has happened in Ukraine, in the Middle East, and what really entails, what we need. But for us to take advantage of it, capitalize on our, the changes that are happening within our own industrial capability and the technology jump that is taking place, and some redefinitions which really put us on a different path. For example, cyber and space are, I think, open issues where technical challenges our own industry can ramp up in a big manner. The entire decision support systems, which are software heavy and which really needs expertise in that domain. We are the world leaders. So why are we not getting grips on it is the issue, and I think that is something that we should worry about as much as what transparent warfare means. And to me, I think important issues that this kind of transparent warfare, I think the essential elements are ability for real-time situational awareness at every level. There is a heavy level of situational awareness. For example, the ISCCS system of Air Force, similar systems in the Navy. There is a good situational awareness capability based on your sensors and whatever is interlinked. But is it good enough? Is it at every level? Answer is clearly no. And therefore, the first element of getting onto the transparent warfare capability is building a real-time situational awareness at every level. And I repeat, every level, because for the Air Force, it would mean the person in the cockpit who's about to deliver a weapon. He should know whether that, what is the latest on the target. So when he sees a picture, it should have been updated 5 seconds back. If by chance it's already been destroyed or there's another portion of it that needs to be taken, that gets done in real time. If it's a person firing a missile from ground, he knows situationally how many targets are there, who's targeting whom, from his own squadron, from the adjacent squadron, from somebody in the air targeting some aircraft. So at every level in real time, and it is a big ask. And I think this is something that indigenously we are capable of doing ourselves indigenously, because any situational awareness system and any decision support system has to be fully indigenous. I would again give the example of ICCs, but we need to build maybe 100 times beyond the existing system to be able to achieve it. Which means that every sensor is linked, every ground sensor, every air sensor, every satellite information, every sensor that flies on a drone or a UAV or electronic sensor on the aircraft is linked in real time and available to the right person to be just taken. Whoever needs what information is available. So that is real-time situational awareness for me. The next, I think, important element is the ability to decide fast. Therefore, decision support system, our command and control. Therefore, networks for command and control need to get more robust, need to get secure, and need to really transform with this cyber and space coming in to be integrated into new network backbones. And I'll talk about it a little later again. and having the ability to decide fast, to be able to take down whatever targets or adversary center of gravities are important at that stage, is the ability to harness the right weapon. The weapons in the air can be repositioned, retargeted, and the right weapon, whether it is a 3 kg weapon from a drone or a precision weapon from an aircraft, or a hypersonic weapon that you need to employ for that target, or a surface-to-surface weapon. So all that we are moving towards is a very rapid ability to know what is happening, rapid ability to decide, and rapid ability to strike. And whoever does it better, whoever does it faster, would certainly win. Admiral Dhowan said, on the winner side, on loser side. I don't think we are on the winner side. I don't want to say we are on the loser side. But for being on the winner side, all these elements need to be really taken care of. And the challenge for us today, as we speak, while we are transforming ourselves, modernizing, moving fast on almost all fronts, is to reassess what we require for the future, and be able to convert our adversaries into a transparent area. Otherwise, we probably will succumb to ourselves being transparent, because especially with respect to the northern adversary, and not in a position to have the same level of transparency across, which can be catastrophic. Therefore, the importance of this subject, because this is not something that you can defend if you are fully transparent and you don't have transparency. The comparison is going to be catastrophic. So to my mind, as we move forward, the critical backbone elements that we need to build upon is firstly the networks itself, wherein the space-based network, and both for data and communication. So the entire data flow from every sensor, every satellite, every ground sensor, you should be able to have a low latency network which can move fast, which is robust, which is redundant, and which is indigenous. I again underline indigenous. Okay, this is again something that needs to be launched straight away, because it is something that has to be done. Unless you are networked across 3 services, across domain, and in multiple national security domains, you will not be able to progress the next warfare to the capability that you want to do. With network, I mentioned data security. Therefore, the importance of cyber hardening, and huge importance that cyber and space needs to be given in terms of getting hold of what needs to be in cyber and space for our assets, or for our information, or for our services, and integrating that fully into our systems. I think towards this, what is really important is on space to straight away on the data and networks, we are almost terrestrial with some elements of SATCOM coming in. We need to build a new backbone which is almost space-based, which moves, which is totally interlinked with the existing ground network. And when we say redundant, it should be 100% redundant. I think for that, and if you talk about all the ISR elements that need to come in, which are largely space-based, but increasingly many would be UAV-based and many aircraft-based. All that network, when we information flow, when you look at this entire digital domain and information and network domain needs to be defined and targeted straight away. I think this is one important backbone that needs to develop, which would have all elements of data, network, cyber, and space. The next area, I think, is area that Samir Joshi touched upon. I think importance that drones, UAVs are going to have in the future. Again, we need to view this as flying sensors and flying munitions, essentially, more than anything else. It can be in many forms. And finally, going on to manned-unmanned teaming as unmanned ammunition carriers, teaming with the manned aircraft, or simply unmanned munitions flying, which can be kamikaze or recoverable. So the future would lie that in ops, there would be enough flying munitions around for it to be targeted in real time, retargeted, and to be defined or to be used as per the target that is required to be destroyed, so that there is not enough, there is not a wastage of ammunition. So the entire way that we are going to define sensors, I think the challenge for the industry is to come out with cheap sensors which are flying. Very low cost sensors which are flying. They need not be very survivable. Every sensor on fighter was meant to be survivable with 9G, with extremes of atmospheric conditions. Here, those requirements will not exist. Firstly, there will be UAV and drone based. And secondly, there could be very cheap sensors which probably have a low life but can be used in ops and discarded. So the cheap sensors flying and available would be an industry challenge. Similarly, cheap weapons. While we can talk of UAVs and drones, etc., I look at it as flying weapons, flying munitions, in whatever form. It could be singly, it could be multiple, in which case it is a UAV with multiple munitions, in whatever form. The moment you have networked information, entire information, same UAV or same aircraft need not carry the sensor and the weapon together. That means your information on targeting or any information of target or network is available from the network, and ammunition can be totally independent and networked into the same heart and decision-making system where it can be utilized. So the challenge for the industry, I think, is to go low cost, to go develop own sensors and develop own weapons across the board, from starting from a small drone weapon to high-end hypersonic missiles. Similarly, our surface-to-surface weapons, surface-to-air weapons need to get cheaper, need to get more affordable in order to be able to have our inventories for the kind of employment that is required, because it may no longer be a short employment, which is very clear from what is happening across the board. I think the next challenge that we need to look at is how do we, what do we do about legacy system and how are we transforming? As always happens in organizations like defense organizations, our legacy systems would continue to be maintained and would continue to get transformed, modernized, and be relevant. At the same time, we have to really change this entire scene to real high-end and different level of different new age weapons. At some place, there is no meeting point between the two. You can have man-on-man teaming. I'm talking from military aviation point of view, and air and space point of view. But beyond the stage, we will need to take some hard calls on how we transform this. How much do we continue to legacy? And it should not be that as part of our modernization drive and part of our legacy improvement drive, we spend so much of it that our attention and budget for the new age weapons suffers. So I think there is an importance required for really budgeting out of the way the new age capabilities on all our networking, decision support, all our cyber and space system, and the kind of weapons that are coming in order to be adequately equipped. We talk about autonomous kill capability. I think once the decision support systems are done, in ops time, there would certainly be a requirement of providing this autonomy to some of these weapon systems, because if you are beyond some 50 kilometers in enemy territory, there is absolutely no ethical issue in giving autonomous kill capability to a weapon even today, because that would be an adversary agent, but it is the kind of weapon, kind of target that is important. You can give it for tanks, vehicles, and those kind of targets, but not give it for human beings, because it should not end up targeting civilians or some school children or things like that. So there are issues with autonomous kill capability that can be tackled today, and this is something that we really want to go in, and therefore the importance of AI that needs to be given by our own system, and I think this is an area which is hugely lacking. We have spoken a lot on our AI and ML capability in the country, but not done much towards its employment in the defense. So I would finish with that. To me, those are the issues that we really need to start looking at to be able to have a strong capability as we go towards a transparent battlefield and tackling a enemy that is stronger than us in information and capability and assets today, and still be able to defeat him. Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you, sir, for that insightful address. We will now hear another special address from Admiral Karambir Singh, PVSM AVSM retired, former Chief of Naval Staff and the Chairman, National Maritime Foundation. Admiral Singh will discuss securing the transparent maritime domain, requesting Admiral Singh to kindly proceed with a special address.
Dignitaries on and off the dais, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First and foremost, I'd like to thank SAMDeS, I don't know how to pronounce it, there are different pronunciations, for giving me this opportunity to participate in this seminar on transparent warfare. And I've been asked to speak to you on the topic securing the transparent maritime domain. Now, ladies and gentlemen, warfare in the maritime domain is not going to be fought, on the surface of the sea. It will be fought in space, in the air, on the surface of the sea, of course, undersea, in ether, in the cognitive domain, and in the cyber domain. These are the kind of domains that you're looking at. Therefore, when we speak of transparency in the maritime domain, it has several dimensions. And I'll just cover a few because of the paucity of time. The first, of course, is the transparency enabled by more robust, multi-layered, and democratized ISR, which has improved maritime domain awareness to a large degree for actors big and small, state and non-state. And advanced ISR capabilities, once the exclusive domain of major powers, are now accessible to smaller players and non-state actors. Interestingly, the satellite images that warned the US about a pending Russian invasion at the beginning of the war in the Ukraine were actually captured by Silicon Valley startup Capella Space. Today, commercial startups like Hawkeye 360 are providing targeting data information to Ukrainian frontline troops. So today, theoretically, anyone with a credit card can access information that was hitherto only available to powerful states. There's also this interesting approach to a satellite-based surveillance using nanosatellites. The costs are down, they're using commercial cell phone parts, launch costs are low and getting lower. But what this adds to this entire surveillance capability is distributed surveillance capability, which is difficult to disrupt, practically immune to anti-satellite weapons, and they can be rapidly replenished and augmented. Their planned service life is short. They can be replaced periodically and therefore do not suffer from obsolescence issues. Also, when I speak of transparency in maritime domain awareness, I don't only imply knowing the position of naval units and their deployments, etc. at sea, but also transparency in obtaining critical data of the seas, which is very, very important, including undersea for warfare. For example, the NASA's surface, I just read it recently, NASA's Surface Water Ocean Topography, SWOT, satellite mission has recently mapped the entire Earth's ocean floors in unprecedented detail in just 1 year, based on the changes in the sea surface height. Based on sea surface height, they've been able to figure out what is the topography underwater. And this, if one had to do it in the legacy way through ships, it would have taken at least 30 years of data collection and, of course, intrusion into other countries' EEZs and issues like that. So this is the first dimension. Second dimension of transparency in the maritime domain has been because of the rapid advances in networking and communications. This enables commanders ashore today to have an absolutely transparent and clear picture of the tactical situation many thousands of miles at sea. And it also enables almost seamless and instantaneous passing of orders, obtaining feedback, etc. All this, of course, improves efficiency, shortens the OODA or D4 loop, but has the attendant problem of interference and backseat driving from ashore, and danger of taking away the initiative from the man at the sea, danger to what we call the mission command at sea. The third transparency is through social media proliferation. This is another important development that needs to be factored. Because with widespread use of social media, information today is easily available to all, can be disseminated at the speed of thought or morphed to suit aside strategic communications. So, the legendary fog of war can now be created by media with the surfeit of fake news rather than through lack of information that was the fog of war in the past. The fourth dimension is that intelligence, which was hitherto a niche field and preserve of governments, has seen much more transparency and democratization thanks to the large amount of data available in the open domain that is making open source or OSINT a much larger component of traditional intelligence. In Ukraine, Fernandez showed us this, civilian volunteers and analysts have formed online communities to analyze satellite imagery, corroborate social media posts, and provide actionable intelligence. Websites like Bellingcat that provide an OSINT platform have demonstrated how open data can rival traditional intelligence. Who-these, of course, we have discussed. Next, transparency is in the plans, intent, and systems, which were difficult to access in the past. They become possible through infiltration of networks and software intensive systems using the cyber domain. So the digital landscape today is characterized by belligerents working to attack each other from inside out rather than from outside in, and attacking networks, government sites, critical systems, embedded systems, etc. So therefore, guarding traditional and maritime, traditional borders and maritime zones has to be supplemented with guarding cyber and information borders. And lastly, of course, the commercial technology has leapfrogged ahead of defense technology. In 2022, the US DoD identified 14 critical areas of defense technology, and there they found that commercial sector was ahead of the defense primes in 11. So this democratization of commercial technology, encompassing affordable access to advanced surveillance tools and open source intelligence and network operations, has substantially altered the dynamics of warfare at sea. And whilst all these changes have been individually evolving over a period of time, I think it is the convergence of these changes aided by advances in information technology and very important amalgamation of commercial technologies that has created a very potent combination which is transforming the maritime battle space substantially. The oceans, once distant and enigmatic, are becoming increasingly transparent. Having said that, I would hasten to add that the seas are extremely complex, vast, dynamic, and there are limitations to what technologies can achieve to categorically say that transparency in the maritime domain is complete. So how do we deal with this new normal? Or as the organizers have asked, how do we secure the transparent maritime domain? We definitely should not waste our time admiring the problem. We in the services have to think innovatively, respond swiftly, act decisively to embrace these changes that have altered the battle space. And due to paucity of time, I'll offer a few quick points how we can adapt or leverage this battle space transparency in the maritime domain. The first thing is a non-brainer. We have to further improve maritime domain awareness with increased focus on underwater domain awareness. This needs to be done with what Commodore Samadha told me, and he calls it the cylindrical construct of surveillance systems comprising, of course, satellites, military satellites, civil satellites, hiring services of civil satellites, nanosatellites, HAPS, HALE, USVs, moving and tripwire undersea sensors with appropriate onboard equipment. And we must also leverage international cooperation. Initiatives such as the Indo-Pacific Partnership on Maritime Domain Awareness, which is Quad-led, aimed at delivering targeted information across the Indo-Pacific, is extremely important. The IPM Day is, in addition to networking all the information fusion centers in the region, is also inducting cutting-edge satellite technologies to bolster ISR in the Indo-Pacific. Second, and this has been discussed by previous speakers, we need a relook at our force structure, given the implications of transparency in the maritime battle space. I think the challenge before today's leadership is, should we retain our existing force mix thinking or go, for example, the small, the agile, the many with distributed lethality that rides on digital enablement. And there is this whole debate going on regarding previous generation equipment and platforms that were exquisite, expensive, vulnerable, and fewer versus the new generation platforms which would be large in numbers, dispersed, smart, and unmanned based on principles of networking, accessibility, affordability, and mass. I think our leadership will be analyzing it, but to my mind, a healthy force mix is the answer. And somebody said 30% by 2030 for the US. I think that's the way to go. I met the UK CDS who said the UK will have 500 ships, 1,000 aircraft by next 5 years. So I looked at him incredulously and I realized he was mentioning 500 manned, unmanned aircraft, 1,000 ships, USVs, UUVs. My next point is on network centricity, and Chief Marshal Bhaduria covered it in great detail. So we have to integrate sensors, platforms, and DSS into a cohesive operational network which facilitates dispersed yet integrated forces and provides a powerful way to counter the challenges thrown up by persistent ISR. We'll have to disperse our units, we'll have to make them yet integrate them. And I often say this, I would like to see at least the maritime forces, in fact all the armed forces of the near future, to become a complex combat kill web that seamlessly acquires, processes, disseminates and acts on vast amount of data through a web of data links and communication system. So it's not about 5th or 6th generation aircraft, for example, but about the next generation combat kill web capability that the services should be aspiring for. My next point is on securing our networks and software-enabled system from cyber infiltration. And I feel no amount of trying to firewall, etc. will make the difference. I think to ensure software security, the ability to develop, deploy and update software would become a critical military advantage in the coming future. Experts say that today's modern warfare, software, etc., whether belonging to equipment or weapons, would not have a potency of more than 6 weeks. As an example, in the Ukraine war, the Excalibur precision weapons had 70% efficiency in the initial periods of war. And after 6 weeks, their efficiency has declined to 6% because the Russians developed electronic countermeasures. So in Russia and Ukraine, capability upgrades through a software upgrade are being done between drone sorties. That's the kind of speed that we will have to upgrade based on operational sortie feedback. And therefore, I make a case for a digital core in our services. Personnel who are, I think Fernandez showed us some photographs of some civilians. That is what I want to see in the digital core of our services. Personnel who are digitally savvy about AI and other stuff. We should be seeing more data analysts, code writers, code breakers, network administrators, expert maintainers in and out of uniform supporting the services of tomorrow. We've got to open it up. And to provide redundancies for networks and communication, one is the nano satellites, or we have to look at satellites like Starlink or OneWeb constellation that will provide redundancy to our Rukmani GSAT satellites. Another point to ponder is how do we counter and protect ourselves from cognitive warfare, considering the transparency caused by social media. First, I think most important is we will require our leadership to get it very, very focused on MCF or civil-military fusion or military-civil fusion or CMI or whatever you want to call it, the kind that China has, because it will require a whole of government effort. And here I think appointment of National Cyber Security Coordinator or National Maritime Security Coordinator are important developments. I just want to give you an example. I had gone to Taiwan. The Chinese are constantly hitting Taiwan with cognitive warfare. So they have adopted something called a 3 2s response strategy, which is respond within 2 hours. So for an attack, cognitive attack by China, respond to 3 2s, respond within 2 hours with at least 2 photographs and 200 words. So our nation too needs to develop similar strategies to blunt the inside-out attack. And lastly, I think I talked about this backseat driving. We need to preserve this concept of mission command, which is so essential to maritime operations despite the temptation to control centrally. But this mission command will have to be aided by automatic planning and DSS tools to enable command teams to negotiate the complexities of today's warfare. And network-centric capabilities ensures this by keeping units connected with shared situational awareness and to coordinate action. And Ukraine has shown this. Small, technically and digitally enabled teams operating in mission command mode proved quite lethal against a superior large Russian army. With that, I finished. Sorry if I've taken a little extra time, but I thought I'd share all these with you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that very pivotal address. May I now take this opportunity to request General Anil Chauhan, PVSM, UYSM, AVSM, SM, VSM, Chief of the Defence Staff and Secretary DMA, as he will be delivering the inaugural address virtually. And he shall be elaborating on the theme of transparent warfare, equipping and training to win.
Chairman as well as Secretary of Society of Aerospace, Maritime and Defense Studies, that is Admiral R.K. Dhowan and Commodore Sujit Samadar, leading entrepreneurs and academicians, distinguished speakers, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning to all of you. At the very outset, I would like to compliment Society of Aerospace, Maritime and Defense Studies for conducting a seminar on transparent warfare, equipping and training to win. In fact, the real motivation for me to deliver this inaugural address for this particular event is due to the futuristic outlook of the theme of this particular seminar. We all know that no war in future is going to be fought like the last one, and Indian armed forces must be prepared for the same. Future wars will not be restricted to a singular battlefield and domain. Developments such as battlefield transparency and seamless network connectivity have shrunk the decision-making cycles of commanders in a very expanded kind of a battle space. We all know that surprise and deception have been one of the cardinal principles of warfare since time immemorial. It has been normally practiced through the art of camouflage and concealment. It was the business of military leaders to see through that camouflage and guess what lies on the other side of the hill. The correct estimation of what lay across separated successful military leaders from ordinary ones. If you knew the enemy, then you don't have to fear the outcome of thousands of battles, said Sun Tzu. Knowing about the enemy, hence, has been the foremost preoccupation of all military commanders. Any talk of warfare actually cannot be complete without mentioning Clausewitz. He also spoke about at length on the fog and friction of war in his famous but unfinished work on war. The fog was essentially due to inability to see through adversaries' deployment as well as design. Fortunately, such an era is coming to a close, and we are entering into an age where battlefield transparency and situational awareness are concepts under which wars will be fought in the future. Today, battlefield transparency and situational awareness are not restricted to surface deployment of assets or forces in the terrestrial, maritime or air domains. It is also being gradually extended to subterranean or underwater domains. These are new capabilities that nations are acquiring, and we should be aware of it. In fact, in all mythologies, most belligerents, whether they were gods or demons, devas or asuras, have taken aid of subterranean or underwater abode to escape detection. Duryodhana did that on the 18th day of Mahabharata to escape detection by taking a Jal Samadhi. He was eventually located and called out by Yudhishthira for a duel with Bhim. Today, transparency in battlefield has reached actually unimaginable proportions. Parallelly, by achieving transparency in battlefield and enhancing the accuracies in delivering of ordnance at longer ranges, it will not be wrong to assume that what can be detected can surely be targeted. Today we operate in an era where precision strikes are the norm. Even ISR, we can identify, track and neutralize forward positions and rear echelon formations with pinpoint accuracy. These formations, once considered hidden sanctuaries, are no longer safe havens. The battlefield is now transparent, and higher level and range transparency is emerging as a battle winning factor. If you see, transparency is essentially a function of sensing. It depends on sensors gifted to us human beings by nature. The 5 basic human senses are visual, that is sight, audio, hearing, smell, feel, that is touch, and taste. In today's world, man-made sensors have overtaken nature's sensors, not only in numbers, but also in range and capabilities of detection. The global population today is about 8.2 billion, so there must be almost about 16.5 billion ISR sensors in terms of human eyes. If we take the number of surveillance cameras deployed in space, in air, land, sea, and what's available on computers, laptop or mobiles, we may be exceeding the sensors nature has created by many times. The natural sensors in terms of eyes are actually panchromatic sensors, whereas man-made sensors, ISS sensors today offer you monochromatic, panchromatic, infrared, SAR and hyperspectral images. The later two are akin to Dividrishti, being able to see in fog, darkness, foliage and below the earth's surface. Similarly, the human ear, though remarkable, is confined to a narrow audible range of 20 Hz to 20 kHz. Environmental noise, distance, physical obstruction further limit this effectiveness. Man-made systems like sonars, radars, lidars are extending our auditory reach many folds, allowing us to probe deeper into the oceans, over the horizon, into the air, and even outer space. Radio frequency sensors are capturing signals far beyond the human ear's range, enabling applications in communication, astronomy, and surveillance. Today, we have seismic sensors that can feel and detect motion. In addition to their use in detection of earthquakes, volcanic activity, and even underground explosions for providing early warning and minimizing potential of damage, they are now increasingly being used for security purposes, for border monitoring by sensing unauthorized movements or tunneling activities. All this is happening with unparalleled precision. Operations in CBRN environment are also possible due to sensors that can detect radiations, presence of chemical agents or biological toxins. These man-made sensors can operate underwater, on land, underground, in air, or even in space. What is remarkable is how space-based sensors, in particular, have become game changers. Unlike traditional reconnaissance methods, which often risk violating a nation's sovereignty, space-based sensors provide an omnipresent view without infringing upon a state's territorial sovereignty. Sensing by itself does not lead to a perception or creation of an image. Our natural senses require the sensing controls and the computational power of a human brain to perceive object and its image. The human brain is a marvel of natural engineering. It synthesizes inputs from our five senses to create an image. Yet this powerful organ is constrained by limitations of biological processing, speed, and capacity. Man-made systems have redefined the limits of information processing. Technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, quantum computing, and large language models have brought processing capabilities to a level that was once unimaginable. These systems can process vast amounts of data in real time, identify patterns invisible to human mind, and make decisions with precision and speed. In fact, machines are now venturing into realms once reserved for human cognition, such as predicting outcomes, creating art, and even exploring the unknown. They do not just assist human intelligence, they augment it, open doors for possibilities that were once part of only science fiction. Equally important, their sensors are networks that connect these sensors and allow information to flow seamlessly. Today's networks span terrestrial fiber optics, underwater cables, mobile platforms that connect moving vehicles, aircraft, and even satellites. The expanse of the network can be fathomed by the fact that today we have more than 4 billion kilometers of fiber optic cable running across this globe. This ensures that commanders have real-time access to information they need, regardless of what and where they are operating. The integration of terrestrial and space-based networks have brought about a level of connectivity that was once unimaginable. This interconnectedness underpins the transparency of a modern battlefield, providing unparalleled situational awareness. Transparency and situational awareness are derivatives of net-centric operations, which deploys sensors, integrates them, communication networks, and decision-making tools into a unified kind of a system. This system simplifies command and control, reduces response time, and enables faster and more accurate decision-making. One of the most significant advantages of net-centric operations is the acceleration of the OODA loop: observation, orient, decide, and act. By shrinking these cycles, commanders can act more decisively and stay one step ahead of the adversary. In a transparent battlefield, the speed and accuracy of decision-making can well make the difference between success and failure. Let me now talk about what lies in the future, data-centric warfare and its application on transparency. Data, they say, is the new oil. Automation, based on improved data processing or computational power, with enablers like artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, large language models, quantum computing, communication and sensing are increasingly impacting modern warfare. Its impact is all-pervasive, compelling nations to shift from network-centric warfare to data-centric warfare in future. Net-centric warfare were based on information superiority, whereas data-centric had the potential to provide decision superiority or cognitive superiority. These technologies allow us to process and analyze vast amounts of data in real time, providing deeper insights, thereby enhancing decision making. The application of all these technologies will take transparency to new levels. AI and ML may enable us to predict enemy movements, optimize logistics, and even identify potential vulnerabilities. This may happen before an actual event unfolds. The future location of a combat formation or the likely failure of a component and platform can now be predicted. This is what I say as transparency plus. The shift to data-centric architecture has profoundly implications for battlefield transparency. Quantum computing, with its unparalleled processing power, is also set to revolutionize cryptology and communication, ensuring that our systems remain secure in the face of evolving threats. In data-centric environment, information becomes a weapon. The ability to collect, analyze, and act on data faster than the adversary is the new measure of superiority. Ladies and gentlemen, the era of transparent warfare is upon us. It's a world where the unseen is now visible, where decisions are made in real time, and where information is as powerful as any weapon. To succeed in this era, we must embrace the technological advancements that are transforming the battlefield and equip our armed forces with state-of-the-art sensors and networking solutions that will enable them to win future conflicts. I firmly believe that transparent battlefield is not just a challenge, it's an opportunity. In this area, there is a level playing field where technologies and concepts are yet to take roots fully. By proactive investments, we can ensure that we are not only prepared for the battles of today, but are also ready for conflicts of tomorrow. For this vision to be realized on ground, the ongoing impetus to Atmanirbharta and defense production should be reinforced. Technological research and development and hand-holding of startups, especially those that are working on innovative technologies that have the potential to become enablers for transparent battlefield, must be encouraged. Today, there are indigenous private companies specializing in the development of MALE and HALE drones, high-altitude pseudo-satellites, hyperspectral imaging and detection algorithms in the transparency domain. We need to find the right talent and ensure that their products are the right match for the armed forces. Multiple initiatives are being undertaken by the Ministry of Defense and the Indian Armed Forces, including DISC Prime, Sprint, and Aditi under the IDEX program to encourage new ideas. Ideation on gainful utilization of these reforms for building a Sashakt, Surakshit, and Viksit Bharat is important. In addition to IDEX, which is a MOD-led initiative, the Digital India Mission, the National Quantum Mission, India Artificial Intelligence Mission, and the Semiconductor Mission, and the hackathons at national and international levels have opened up new doors and possibilities for defense industries with applications to support this transparent battlefield concept. The Indian defense industry cannot lag behind in this development curve. The ability of our armed forces to achieve credible, transparent battlefield will hinge tremendously on how our defense industry matches pace with the best in the world. We have to believe in collaborative approach with emphasis on fusion and de-siloization. We all have to work together with the ethos of mission first and country first. The world is going through a revolution in military affairs, which are converging various types of domains, various kinds of technologies. The future nature of military and non-military security challenges necessitate Indian armed forces to be prepared for multi-domain and multi-spectrum challenges. We have to find ingenious solutions to problems that are unique to us. Keeping these changes in mind, several steps have been undertaken by Department of Military Affairs, Headquarter IDS, and the services to introduce concepts that are pertinent to fight and win future wars. Some of the initiatives that are underway are a future warfare course, integrated online training and evaluation program, opening up of research cell in Headquarter IDS, and a tactics-led revolution in military affairs for modernization. I strongly feel that formulation of this concept would be a key enabler to transcend and acquire credible capabilities for future warfare, including realization of the concept of transparent battlefield. My good wishes to the Society of Aerospace, Maritime and Defense Studies in their future endeavors and current initiatives. I look forward to the important conclusions of this particular seminar. Officers of the Armed Forces and Paramilitary Forces, member of military space and defense industry, academia, and think tanks can congregate here today on a single platform to ideate, discuss, and develop new generation equipment, sensors, platform devices, tools, and training kits to dominate the transparency battlefield by generating clear transparency of adversaries' forces and positions while maintaining deeper opacity of own location and forces. And if that's not possible, able to fight under these novel conditions. In the end, it remains for me to compliment the organizers for this first-of-kind conference. I convey my best wishes to each one of you in your future endeavors and wish this particular conference great success. Thank you and Jai Hind.
May I now request Commodore Sujit Samadar, NM retired, founder and secretary, SAMDeS, to kindly deliver the vote of thanks to our esteemed dignitaries and guests.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and thank you, my very distinguished members of the inaugural session, for joining us on this fascinating session. I think a short vote of thanks will be completely inadequate to this task, and I have to begin with that apology. The kind of insights that we have had from our esteemed speakers today deserves much more than just a vote of thanks. I think they all deserve much higher accolades. Please join me in first giving them this little accolade for being here with us. So on behalf of SAMDeS, let me begin by proposing a vote of thanks to, firstly, the CDS, General Anil Chauhan, PVSM, UYSM, AVSM, SM, VSM, Chief of Defense Staff and Secretary DMA, for finding time out from his extremely busy schedule. I can understand how busy he was, but he took some time out and gave us the privilege of his talk. His talk is available on our site, and we really look forward to you listening on to it. There are some very insightful and very useful comments there, which provide direction to all of us. Thank you, General Chauhan, sir. Admiral Karambir Singh, PVSM, AVSM, retired former Chief of the Naval Staff and Chairman, National Maritime Foundation. I thank you for coming down from Goa and keeping you away from Buddy to join us for this inaugural session. But thank you very much, and I think what you've told us about the multidimensional nature of the maritime domain will stay with us as we proceed with this conference. I would also like to propose a vote of thanks to Air Chief Marshal R.K. Bhadoria, PVSM, AVSM, VM, retired former Chief of the Air Staff, for joining us today. I know you have several other commitments, but I'm very grateful to you that you could find this time to come and speak to us. And I think particularly the point that you brought out about aligning industry and the armed forces to a common goal should be the theme of future work, particularly in developing indigenous capabilities in our country. With this, I also thank Vice Marshal Michael Fernandez and my good friend Joshi for those very insightful presentations from the industry perspective. I hope they'll be useful to our service members to take those ideas forward. There are certainly, let us say, I would not like to use the word catastrophic, but for want of a better word, I think that's the direction we would be heading if we don't take cognizance of these new realities that are emerging on the field. Of course, I'd like to thank Admiral Dhowan, who has provided the leadership for this seminar, and his contribution has been tremendous. But unfortunately, for some other personal commitments, he could not join us today, despite having a desire to be here. I also thank our founder member and of the Governing Council, Lieutenant General Arvind Singh Lamba, PVSM, AVSM, PhD, former Vice Chief of the Army Staff, to deliver the welcome address, and he himself also brought out several issues that are before us as we proceed with our with the conference. I don't think I should miss out to say the huge support we have received from the Defense Research and Development Organization. Believe me, the kind of interest that was generated in the DRDO organization and in the Department of Defense Production on this whole seminar, the concepts that we are introducing, we discussed some discussion papers with them, really was well received, and I'm really grateful to DRDO and the Department of Defense Production for being with us today and supporting this conference. Our also thanks go to Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. We have a presentation with them sometime later. Lockheed Martin, sir, thank you very much for your support. Bharat Electronics Limited, Garden Reach Shipbuilders and Engineers Limited, Cochin Shipyard Limited, Newspace. Samir, thanks once again for your support. Idea Forge and Zen Technologies, who have been big supporters for us, not only today, but for some time. And we earnestly look forward to your continued support in the technology issues that we discuss. I mean, unless the industry comes forward and discusses technologies one-on-one with the people, we will not be where we are today. And lastly, I can understand the audience is a bit sparse, but those of you who have taken time out to combat GRAP4 and all these other things which have made not really the fog of war, but the fog of Delhi, to come here and attend this conference has been very, very welcome. Thank you very much, and with this we conclude the first session. Aditi will give some further housekeeping rules. Thank you.
Thank you, Commodore Sujit, for that, for those words of gratitude. May I now request Ms. Shobhana Joshi, former Secretary, Defence, Finance, Ministry of Defence, founder and co-chairperson SAMDeS, to kindly felicitate our guest dignitaries. To Lieutenant General A.S. Lamba, may I please have a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. To Shri Samir Joshi. To Air Vice Marshal Michael Fernandez. To Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhaduria. To Admiral Karambir Singh. We'll deliver the mementos, sir, also maybe after the presentation. May I now request all our guests for a group photograph, please? A group photograph with Ms. Shobhana Joshi. Thank you, dear dignitaries. This brings us to the conclusion of the inaugural session.